Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Doris. Today we're going to have a little discussion about homesteading. Mostly about homesteading and aging. I know a lot of the channels that I see the people in their 30s and 40s. And I am so happy to see that they have started exploring homesteading and gardening and animal husbandry, that we're getting back to that. But I don't see any discussion about homesteading as you age. So we're going to get into that a little bit. I think I'm qualified enough because I'm 62 and my husband is 65. And I started this a little bit late. I started this in 2008. Even though my grandfather was a farmer, he didn't farm when I became of age, and when I became interested in doing homesteading, he had already passed. So all that knowledge that was with him left with him, and that treasure trove of knowledge just went away. And a lot of us don't have that knowledge anymore, so we're searching for people to guide us on how to do this stuff, and I'm included in that. I had to do a lot of research, books, videos, trying to figure out, trial and error, basically, because I don't know how many times I tried to grow something and I just failed. And once I changed my attitude of it wasn't a failure, it was a lesson. And the lesson I took to heart, and I started putting things down in ledgers and dates, temperatures, when I planted, what I planted, and I was modifying it until I finally got it to where it was conducive for my area, my soil, and my temperature in my state. I'm an 8B, and our summers we get to 105, sometimes 110. So basically we're spring gardening, and then by the time July and August comes, we're basically done until October. But I think I'm going to show you things on here on how to preserve your energy, your strength, because you're going to find out as you age, it just gets harder. And your mind tells you you can do it, when your body goes, girlfriend, who are you kidding? And I'm at the point now where I'm now starting to feel it every year goes by, I garden. And so I'm going to show you tricks on what you can do to preserve your strength, still garden into your 60s, 70s, or even 80s if you want to. So I just think that more and more people are getting into this, which I'm very happy to see, because when I started there wasn't anybody. I didn't have anybody to talk to about it, bounce off ideas or problems that I had. And I had a lot of them. I had a lot of problems. And I still don't have it down packed. I'm doing 80% better, but there's still improvements on some things. And then there's just some things that I did do right, and Mother Nature goes, not this year. So I'm going to show you things in the garden, things in your house, tools that you could use to help conserve your strength. As you get older, you're going to find out your knees hurt, your back hurts, your hands hurt, especially if you're pulling weeds. Your hands are going to be, especially when you start getting arthritis and stuff in there. But yeah, it needs to be talked about, because if you want to do homesteading, you want to continue to do homesteading down the line, you can start off in a certain way, and then you're going to have to progress and change things as you get older, because you're going to find it gets harder as you get older. And the knowledge that I have, I'm trying to share with people. I started this page 2 months ago. The reason I did it was I was posting my garden and my recipes on my Facebook channel, and I was having my friends private message me on when should they start something in the area, what's the best thing to plant right now, and then they wanted the recipes to the stuff that I was showing them that I was cooking. So I went ahead and jumped head first into this. I know nothing about computers. My adult son had to set everything up for me and then step by step show me how to do that, because I'm the generation where I just don't like to mess with computers. I'm still paper. I just don't like to mess with the computer stuff because I have lost so much stuff in the past, and I just don't trust the computer system too well. And but I do back everything up now. Oh, I back everything up. But he got me started on that, and today is the 24th of March, so that makes 2 months today that I started this page. So I'm just gonna go around the property and I'm gonna show you what my husband and I do. Like I said, I'm 62 and my husband's 65, and my solace is my garden. I love my garden. I love being in the greenhouse. I love my hands in the soil. I don't typically wear gloves when I'm in the garden because it's something about your hands in the soil. It just connects you with the earth. So I'm just going to give you a little hints to help you out. I mean, what you have now, I'm sure is fine, but as you progress in age, you're probably going to modify stuff to help you continue on to what you're doing. So let's go ahead and get started on this, and please like and subscribe. Thank you. So first tool I'm going to show you is a battery operated clipper. I have arthritis in my hands. I did a very, very physical job. I was a professional firefighter and I was a paramedic. So I did a lot of lifting and gripping. So my hands are shot, my knees are shot, and my back is shot from the job that I had once done. So when I retired, I'm now starting to see the effects of the physical job that I once had. But this, my kids bought this for me for Christmas. And all you do, just a thing on my finger now. It's very inexpensive. I think it was like $60 or something for my kids got me. But I clip all of my tree limbs and my berry bushes with this now. I don't have to actually use clippers. Here's another tool that I use very often. It's a battery hand tiller, very lightweight. And I think I've shown this in several of my videos. So I don't have to till or overturn the soil in my beds. This also is very inexpensive. It's under $100 on Amazon. But I bought this for myself. So you might want to try that. That sure helps with your back when you don't have to dig. You just put your tiller in there, let the tiller do the work. This is probably the best tool I have ever bought for my garden. Here's another tool. This is a pretty old tool. This used to be my father-in-law's. He passed away 20 years ago, and he loved to garden, so he gave a lot of his gardening tools to my husband. But this tool is great for getting those big old thick thistle weeds out. You see how the teeth are twisted? They're not straight down, they're all in an angle. It surrounds that weed, and as you twist the handlebars, it digs around the root so you can get the whole thistle plant out, the long root. Sometimes the root is like 4 to 5 inches long down in the ground, so that saves you energy as well. Okay, the next thing I use in my garden is a miniature wheelbarrow. I don't remember where I got this. I got this in 2008, but it has two wheels in the front and it has support legs in the back, and it's narrow. It's not wide, it's narrow, which I need to get down my gardening paths. So I don't think you've seen, or you did, probably saw me measuring between the beds at one point when I was installing them. I was making sure I had 3 feet so that my wheelbarrow right here will fit through. And I think you probably saw in several other videos where I'm taking stuff out of my shed and transporting it to a new area. And the best thing is this doesn't tip over. It's very lightweight. And if I need to sit it down, it's got the 2 legs right there and it just sits on the ground. So that's another energy saver for when you get older. You don't have to be lugging bags of soil. You just put them in here and roll them over to where you need to be. And here's another tool that I use. It's a miniature little chainsaw. My kids got this for me for Christmas last year. So if I'm pruning big branches on my orchard, all I have to do is push the button. It's on safety right now with the cap on it. But I don't have to try to grip anything really hard to cut them anymore. I have my own little chainsaw. You can get this on Amazon as well. And this one is called Natiti. The next thing we did, it was the end of summer of last year. We ended up putting in a shed in the middle of my orchard leading into my garden. I had all of my stuff everywhere. I had it in my husband's barn. I had it on the front porch. I had tools laying in the garden getting rusty. And I had stuff in the house. And then when I needed to use something, I was using a lot of energy just to roam around looking for my tool. But now everything is organized and it's in here, which saves me time and energy. I have everything on shelves, everything in containers, so I know where everything is. And then my tools are stored in here to keep them out of the weather. So I don't have to run around looking for wooden stakes to mark the garden or metal stakes to support my tomatoes, or my shade cloths, they're up there, or my weather blankets and plastic for wintertime. They're all in here now. And then my roll of burlap when I plant a seed and I want to cover it to prevent the birds from getting the seed. Everything's in here, from my fertilizers to my peat moss to my aged manure. Everything's in here, even my potting mix is right there. So I now have it all organized. I know where it's at, and it saves me energy, and I don't have to go searching all over my property anymore. So that's another thing. If you're older, you don't want to be looking for stuff. It's like an Easter egg hunt. You don't remember where you put it, and you go, oh, I'll put it there and I'll remember. Well, you don't remember. Take it from me, you don't remember. So every season was an Easter egg hunt. I was hunting for all my tools because I had no idea where they were, and now they're all here. So people my age, I'm sure you can relate to that. It's waist high. My potting table is waist high, so I'm not bent over, constantly doing stuff. Everything is right at my belly button level. Same thing with the tables when I'm transferring the pots over. And then my husband drilled this hole in the potting table so that we can put my bucket of potting mix in there. So that way I'm not bending down, getting in the bag, or lifting the bag up over to here. I have a bucket full of potting mix, and then I do everything straight up. As you get older, you're going to notice that. You're not going to want to be bending over all the time, because in about an hour or so after you sit down, you're going to feel it. So this is why when we built this greenhouse, we built everything at my waist level, so that I don't have to bend for anything. I can be upright. So this is a major thing for us on the farm. Okay, here's another one. Getting your beds raised up. This is about 3 feet, 3.5 feet. So your beds are raised. So all I have to do is come in here and work the bed. And that way I can see weeds. I can weed without any problems. Plant without any problems. But eventually all of our beds are going to be raised up. So this is what we've started. We did 2 large ones, and then we wanted to see how that worked, and if we liked it, we were going to continue and do more beds. So that's the next thing for us. And here's another thing. I think I just did a video posted on here about raised beds. And in the video, you're going to see that I put black weed paper down to keep the weeds down. We started doing that this year. Like I said, we started doing gardening when I was 45, and I was very physical in the fire department, very active. No strength issues. So as you get older, they start to creep up on you. So we just decided at this point, everything is going to have black weed paper, even my very large garden. The next thing is our coops. They're a walk-in coop. I used to have a mobile coop where I would have to bend over and reach inside and clean it out. But we ended up building a metal coop, metal door, cement floor. That way we don't have to get on a ladder later on in life and paint. Our wire is in the ground, deep in the ground, so nothing can dig under there. And the yard is a walk-in yard. It's covered on the top with chicken wire. And that's the top of the coop. It has all the netting on top, the fencing, so nothing can get into the birds from there. I'm able to walk upright in the yards. I got a turkey yard next to it, and the same thing with their coop. So, and then if you notice the stoops are just walk in, you're not stepping up. It's low to the ground, so the trip hazard is taken away. But I'm able to walk upright in there if I need to do anything in the yard, and if I need to clean the coop, I just open the door and walk in and clean the coop. And my tractor bucket, I can pull it right up to the door. So less energy that way as well. But all of our buildings are cement floors, metal roof, sidings, and metal door. So one thing you don't want to be on is a ladder as you get older. Next is our pigsty. We have a walk-in portion where we got our feed on one side, and then keep the trash can full of corn. I can reach over and throw hay into here. There's no hay in here because we're getting ready to do our spring cleaning on all the buildings. So that will be another upcoming video on spring maintenance on your farm. But we put pallets along the whole part of the pig enclosure. See, their trough is down there. These are 500-pound pigs. And when they get up, they push off. And when they push off, their butt goes up against the wall. And if you don't have any support on this wall, they will just push the metal out, and then they would eventually ruin the building. And also, pigs like to root. So they will root under your building, and the integrity of your building will now be damaged. So we have concrete floors in here. It's cool. They like to come in here in the summertime and lay down, like right now. It's what, 82, and they're in here in the shade. Doors always open. We ended up buying those plastic strips that you see on commercial freezers where they walk through the and back in the flaps. There's like 7 or 8 strips. We bought some of those, and when we do our spring cleaning, we're going to be installing them there. So at least we can keep the wind and the rain out in the wintertime. But they are able to come and go without having the restriction of a door. So, but we made this where I can come in and give them hay right here. I can just lean over and put hay in here. Or I can lean over this section here and put feed in their trough there. Or I can walk over here and put all their bags of corn and feed here. And I am in the protection of this little cove that we built before I actually have contact with the pigs. And anybody who's had pigs knows that they're very fast. They, especially when they get spooked, they turn around so fast where they've had to push my kneecaps back several times, and they've knocked me over several times when we had them in a different enclosure on the old property. So when we built this, first thing I told my husband is that I need protection from them when I go to feed them. So that's what he did. He built a little tiny little enclosure where I walk in and just take care of what I need to, and then I close the door, and I'm in a safe area, and the pigs aren't disturbed. Now let's talk about the ducks. We just built them a new enclosure. It's fully encapsulated with rabbit wire, top and bottom. And we've already had a hawk sitting on top there. And I don't know if you could tell the little swoop there. We had a big raccoon the size of a German Shepherd. He won't fit in a trap, so we don't know what we're going to do with him. But he was sitting on top of there the other night. So he actually bent the wire down like that. He was trying to get in, but since we have rabbit wire, it sustained his weight and he wasn't able to get in. But all my animals are put in for the night anyway, so even if he got in the yard, he wasn't going to get a bird. So when we did this, same thing. We showed you in the video, we did an L shape, 2 feet, 20 inches to 2 feet of fencing that we put in an L shape, so when they dig, any animal digs, they're digging into the wire, not into the coop. And then we have a gravity tank. It's 35 gallons. And we ran a water line to it. So I don't have to carry buckets of water anymore. All I have to do is turn on the hose, open up the lid, and then it just feeds their water source. Another thing we did was we installed a 550-gallon water tank, and the hose here comes off of our house, fills it up, and then it goes down to the chicken yard where they have automatic water feeders. Well, I hope some of this advice helps you. We're doing this because we're aging, and we're noticing our dexterity isn't as good. We're sore more as we garden than we were the year before. And just for security reasons, that you don't want to fall on your property and then nobody's out here. And that's another thing. Phone. Always have your phone on you. Something happens, 911. And then of course I have my ATV. I just upgraded it from 2 seats to 4 seats. My last one that I had was 11 years old, and it just died on me. It was going to be real expensive to fix it, so we went ahead and just got me a newer model, and we added 2 more seats for my grandbaby, so they're not fighting over who gets to sit in the seats on the ATV. So now I have room for all 5 of them on there. But this gets me around the 18 acres. Saves my energy, and then all my stuff goes in the back. And as you can see, my feed bucket for the animals in the morning sits in the front. But this saves me a lot of energy of walking. And it's understandable if you can't afford one or you don't have enough property to use one. But if you've got several acres, this one here, to me, is probably my most important thing that I have on the farm. One last thing I'm going to show you, and a lot of people forget about this, is making sure your house is going to age with you so that you're comfortable and you're able to function in your house. So when we built this house, we built it a certain way for a certain reason. So let me show you this part. When we built this hallway, we did it based on the knowledge of my husband and I both being firemen and paramedics, that the average hallway is 36 inches wide. And 36 inches is very tight to get a stretcher in, or a wheelchair, or a walker to walk down. And as you get older, you want to stay in your home. So when we had this house built 5 years ago, we expanded our hallway to 43 inches instead of 36 inches. Just from our personal experiences with helping people in the public. Their hallways were too small. We couldn't get down the hallways. We couldn't make a turn. We couldn't even get into their... Usually the patients are always in the back of the house. So we couldn't make a turn. So we made sure that when you made a turn, they can go into that room, down into that hallway. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about either remodeling your home or building a home. Hallways are very important as you get older. The standard hallway is 36, and we're at 43 on the width of the hallway. Okay, when you age, you'll notice that it's harder for you to get down on the ground and get underneath your cabinets. So when we built our house, we made sure everything we have It's like our corners have lazy Susans in them. So we don't have to get down on our hands and knees and try to find something. And all of my cabinets, lower cabinets, are drawers. All of them are drawers. Same thing, you don't want to be messing, getting down on the ground and then trying to find a piece of furniture or support to get yourself back up. So when you're building a house or you're remodeling your house, keep that in mind as you get older. And another thing you might consider is your toilets. A standard toilet is from the floor to the top of the seat is 15 inches. We got taller toilets at 18. If you've ever tried to get off of a low toilet in a department store or like Home Depot or whatever, anybody who's had knee surgery or in a walker or just have weak legs, it's hard for them to get off that. So you might want to consider doing your toilet, because as you can tell, I'm at 18 inches. And the same thing with your sinks. If you have a low sink and you're leaning over washing your face or whatever, I've seen this with my dad, that when he tried to wash his face in the sink, he was 92, the counters were so low that he would tip over and hit his head on the wall above the sink. So we raised our sinks as well in here. So the typical sink is 32 at counter height, and we raised ours up to 35. So now you just, if you fall forward as you get older, your balance is off, and if you lean forward, the counter is now above my hip bones, right at my belly button level, so that I have something to stop me as I'm going forward. So that's just another option that you can do as you get older. And then we did the same here. High toilet and a high sink. This is the guest bathroom. Another thing you need to think about is your master bathroom. Is it designed so that you can function when you get older, when you have a wheelchair or if you have a walker? So we designed it. I won't be able to use this tub probably in my late 70s because you need a lot of bicep strength to get out of it. But what we did was we did a slope walk-in shower, and then we put a bench there to sit if you can't stand for long periods of time, or if you're in a wheelchair or a walker, you just roll yourself in and the floor slopes to the drain, and then you just sit on the bench. So that's another thing you might want to look at if you're building a new home or you're redesigning your bathroom you're going to live out the rest of your life in. You might want to design a walk-in shower with a seat so that you're still able to function in your home. Okay, everyone, that's it for the video. I sure hope it was informative. I hope I gave you some ideas on what you may need to do in the future of your homestead as you progressively age in the future. But thank you for watching, and y'all have a good night. Thank you.